Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Mutombo and today we are going to be talking about how to survive as an engineering student. Just so you know where I'm coming from and where some of these points may have come from, I'm just going to give you a bit of my background in the context of engineering. So I was an engineering student. I spent 4 years at the University of Boya getting my Bachelor's of Engineering degree. So that's Bachelor's of Engineering in Electrical Engineering. And then I spent 3 years getting my Master's of Engineering at the University of Cape Town. And outside of my studies, I have 5 years experience working in the power/telecommunications industry. So that said, I think I am fairly qualified to sit here and make this video. Let's get right into it. Study to understand. This is very important. Whether it's in class or during your personal study sessions, try as much as possible to understand what the teacher is actually saying. In fact, I'm going to speak more on when you are studying on your own. When you go back and you sit down, maybe with a textbook or the lecture notes, whatever material that you have. When you study that material, try to explain it back to yourself or to somebody or to even your paper. You know how when we study, we take notes, jot by the side and all of that. The things that you are jotting down or the things that you are noting in your personal notes should not just be a repetition of what is in the lecture notes or what is in the textbook. Write your notes as if you're explaining it to the paper. Really try to break it down and see if you can explain it to somebody else. If you find that you're able to explain the concepts that you've just studied to somebody else, then I promise you that information is going to stick with you forever. Even if you forget, all you need is just a brief reminder and everything is going to come flooding back. And it's eventually going to make you a good engineer. When you write your notes in a manner that actually explains the concepts, even when you come back to study or come back maybe to do revisions for your exams, you are going to be so grateful for your past self and you are even going to be impressed with yourself. Once you make it a point to study to understand, I think studying is going to become a lot more enjoyable. And this leads me to my next point: find supplementary explanations. If you find that you are studying the material that was given to you at school or the textbooks that were recommended, the lecture notes, whatever the initial material that you have is, if you find that you're studying that and you're not really grasping what they are saying, find supplementary material. The internet is there. Find articles online, videos that explain these concepts in a way that you can understand. Honestly, between you and me, there was this course, Control Systems. Back when I was doing it in undergrad, it was called Feedback Systems. Half the time, I had no idea what was going on in that course. I would read the lecture notes, but I couldn't really make anything of what the notes were saying. So I went online just desperate for any kind of explanation of what is going on in this course. And I found this YouTube channel called The Organic Chemistry Tutor. That channel changed my entire relationship with the course. I started enjoying the course so much. I passed the course, and even when I moved to South Africa for my master's, I became a control systems tutor, and I was a pretty decent tutor. And trust me, that is not an easy course. So I want to encourage you to find supplementary material that ties back to your syllabus. At the beginning of the semester, the professor should give you the core syllabus, and if they don't, ask for it so that you are guided on how you can add supplementary material to the material that they are going to give you in school. Maths is your friend, not your enemy. As an engineer, you should think of mathematics as a tool, something that you are going to carry with you from the beginning of your career to the end of your career, from the moment you start studying engineering in your first year, right up to your master's, PhD, right up to industry. No matter where you find yourself in this engineering field, whether it's mechanical, electrical, civil engineering, you are going to need maths. So if you and mathematics are in a complicated relationship, better work it out with maths. Uncomplicate that relationship, because that's going to be your best friend. I used to think physics was the backbone of engineering, but trust me guys, it's maths. It's maths. If you are not a fan of mathematics, I find that knowing the purpose of maths, knowing how you are going to use maths in your career will help improve your approach to mathematics. I think one big problem that we have with education is that
you don't see how connected things are. We are given information in modular form, so we feel like, okay, this course stands on its own, this other course stands on its own, and it's not related to this other course which stands on its own. But no, you are given a curriculum, and all those courses are there to support each other in your training and in your education. When I started my first year, basically we had a maths course. The way I approached that maths course was, okay, this is just a course that I need to study, pass, and put behind me, move on to other courses. But that is absolutely the wrong way to look at it. You have to look at it as, okay, this maths course is going to help me in this other course, because what I learned from maths here, I would need to apply in this other course. And that is just the way it is throughout your engineering career, because even in your 4th year, you will find yourself going back to your maths textbooks. So my point here is that you should treat mathematics as a tool, because that is what it is. Data science, which is a very popular field right now, is based on statistics. You cannot be a data scientist if you're not good in probability and statistics. In high school, we had this notion that, oh, statistics was for the art students, and those who want to be accountants, economics, they are the ones who do statistics. Also want to be engineers and really go into STEM, we do mechanics, maths mechanics. But now that I'm in the real world, not only did I take a rigorous statistics course during my master's, but I also used a lot of statistics in my dissertation, because I was working on developing a prediction model for some data that I had. And I just realized, wow, this whole thing is statistics. Your precious AI, artificial intelligence, that is built on statistics. Well, okay, linear algebra as well, but I'm trying to make my point about statistics. Calculus will come in clutch in any system that you're trying to design. Whether it's under mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, you're going to have to use calculus. Electrical equations are basically linear algebra. So what I'm telling you here is that maths is inevitable in the world of engineering. Most of the courses that you're going to study would involve some sort of application of maths. So develop a good relationship with mathematics. And I just want to clarify, I'm not saying you need to know the ins and outs of mathematics. You're not a mathematician. You don't need to know all the theorems and everything. You don't need all of that. You just need to figure out what portion of mathematics is relevant to your field or relevant to the courses that you are doing, and then you study that. That's all. Study throughout the semester. Don't let more than 1 or 2 days go by without you having opened your book to study outside of your classes. Do this and I promise you, your life as an engineering student will be so much less stressful. It's going to be stressful, but let's just say you're not going to have to sleep on the floor in the library during exam season. If you study consistently throughout the semester, that is every day you're studying something, you'll find that by the time exam season comes by, you'd have touched every point on the syllabus, and you'll not find yourself ingesting new material just before the exam. What you'll be doing before the exams would just be revision, and if you study to understand, your revision is going to go by like a breeze. One thing that you don't want to during exam or test season is that panic mode. The courses in which I got the best grades, in Cameroon we call them A grades. In South Africa they don't really use A, B, C, B plus and all of that. They use first class, second class, upper, second class, lower. Yeah. The courses in which I got first class grades and A grades were all courses that I had consistently studied throughout the semester, and I understood, and I didn't have to stress too much to prepare for the exams. So I'm telling you this from experience. The second reason why you should not go more than 2 days, in fact 2 days is even a stretch. What are you doing? Studying every day doesn't necessarily mean that you have to spend 6 hours at your desk studying. On days when your classes have been really hectic or you're tired for whatever reason, you can study for just an hour. An hour is fine. But don't let your brain go to sleep. If you let 1 day go by, 2 days go by, 3 days go by without studying, as that time is going by, your resistance to studying keeps building up. And the next time that you would want to sit down to study, it's going to feel so heavy. It's going to feel so difficult. So try to keep the habit of sitting down to study so that it should just become second nature to you. Studying should not feel like this mountain of a chore that you have to do. It should be part of your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth. That is why I say try to study every day, because it would help you build that habit. And by the end of the semester, when everybody else is scrambling, running helter-skelter, you're going to be grateful for the fact that you stayed consistent, and you're going to be a bit less stressed than everybody else. In my experience, some courses are much more dense than other courses. Some courses have a lot of reading material, other courses have more of calculations and problem solving, so you may be able to go through all the material in those type of courses. But for the courses that are really dense, you may not be able to study everything. So optimize for your assessments, for your exams, for your tests, especially if you're somebody who takes a bit longer to grasp and understand concepts, which is not a problem. I'm one of those. And if you find that you're that type of student, you really have to optimize for your tests, your exams, your quizzes, basically anything that will contribute to your grade. It's true that my very first point, and I think the most important point, was to study to understand. But at the same time, I think it's very important to get good grades, especially if you work so hard to try to understand. And I will be the first to tell you that the fact that you've understood a course doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a good grade in that course. For example, on the syllabus, if there are 10 chapters, you can understand chapter 1 to 5 to your fingertips and even teach it back to the teacher. But if the exam comes from chapter 6, you're not going to do well. Despite the fact that you actually understand the material, you're not going to do well because you haven't gotten to chapter 6 yet. So that's why I'm saying optimize for your exams. When you have exams coming up, when you have tests coming up, quizzes, whatever, ask your instructor or your lecturer what that exam is going to be given on. They should tell you what part of the syllabus that exam is going to come from so that you can study for that. So don't be afraid to ask your professors for guidance on how you should prepare for the upcoming tests. They should tell you what the structure of the test is going to be, whether it's multiple choice, essay, problem solving. Oh my goodness, I just had PTSD. I remember there was this course that we did. The only course that guys, okay, let me go off on a tangent. In my time at UCT, I never had any grade less than a second class upper, right? All my grades were 70 and above, except for this one course. I don't even know if I want to call the name of the course, where I had a 49. We went into that course blind as a bat. We had no idea what the structure of the exam was going to be. We had no guidance on how we were supposed to study for that course. If any of my course mates from UCT is watching now, I know that you know exactly what course I'm talking about. It was a nightmare. And based on what we saw during the exams, we for sure were not given enough material in our course notes. 100%. If the exam was this big, our course material was this big. So this even goes back to reinforce my point that you have to look for supplementary material for yourself. Try to understand it for yourself. Why did I even start talking about this particular course? Okay, I was trying to say that you should press your instructor, insist that they give you an idea of how the exam is going to be, the structure of the exam, if it's going to be mostly calculations, if it's going to be mostly essays. And for this course that we failed, every time that I think of this particular exam, it really just annoys me because every lecture that we had was filled with calculations. Every assignment that we had was calculations. Tell me why the exam was an essay exam with just like 5 calculation questions. 5 calculation questions out of like 40 questions. The rest was explain, describe, explain, describe. And I was like, what do you mean describe? I can calculate it for you, but what do you mean I should describe? So yeah, I ended up failing that course. And as much as I blame myself, I don't think we had enough information on what to expect during the exam. So don't make my mistake and assume that the exam is going to look like what the assignments have been or what the course has been. Let the lecturer actually tell you whether to prepare more for essay writing or to prepare more for calculations or to prepare more from this or that section of the syllabus. Yeah. And another reason why I really want you to focus and optimize for your exams and for your tests is that getting good grades really boosts your morale. I cannot tell you how depressed I was after I saw that 49, and those results were released like a day before I was to write another exam. And even though I scored a 70 in this other exam, I think I was just so depressed from seeing that I had actually failed a course. I went all the way to South Africa to fail a course. I was so depressed from that experience that I think it affected my grade in the next exam that I was going to write. In addition to getting the exam structure from your lecturers, also look for past questions. Look for past questions, solve them, especially past questions from the years that this particular instructor taught that course, because different instructors have different ways of examining students. You may get past questions, but those past questions were from a different lecturer. So just try to be smart about it. But yeah, get your exam structure, get your past questions, use your time wisely, work hard, but also work smart, and ace your exams. My next point is that cramming is a band-aid, so use it wisely. The only thing that I personally have ever crammed in my life is dates and names. And the only things that you would ever need to cram in engineering is constants, hard facts. I see people trying to cram the solution to a problem. Why would you try to cram the solution to a problem? It means that if they change one thing in that problem, you're completely thrown off. So if you have a problem and the solution is right there, instead of trying to cram the solution to a problem, try to understand it. Try to understand why that problem was solved the way it was, so that if during the exam something is changed in the problem, an X is added here, a Y has been removed from there, you are not just completely lost and just regurgitating a wrong solution to the problem. So like I said, cramming is a band-aid. I'm not saying that you would never have to cram. Hopefully your instructors are reasonable and they give you all the constants that you need during your exams, because if you need Boltzmann's constants, I don't think a reasonable lecturer would expect you to know that from your head. They should give you that constant, because knowing constants is not a test of if you understand the actual subject matter. And my point here is cramming is a band-aid. I'll leave it up to you to decide when to cram and when not to, but it's not something that I personally recommend. Throughout the semester, gather all the marks that you can. So for most universities, assignments count towards your final grade, attendance, tests, quizzes, exams, projects, group work, and all these pockets of work that you're given here and there. I think your lecturer should tell you what percentage each of these things contributes to your final grade, so that you know how to distribute your time and energy. Like I said, you will not be able to cover everything uniformly. So you need to know this information so that you can direct your efforts accordingly and gather as many marks as you can throughout the semester. Try to do well in your tests, because tests have less pressure than exams.
You never know what might happen when exam season comes around. There's a lot of pressure, and many of the exams are around the same period.
For example, I told you the story of how getting my results from one course affected my performance in the next course, because I was writing the exams the very next day. So you never know. So just gather as many marks as you can throughout the semester. It's going to help you in the long run. Don't just relax during the semester and say, oh, okay, never mind, the exams make up majority of my grade, so I'll do well during the exams. No, get all the marks that you can. When you're in engineering school, you're definitely going to take some theoretical courses. Try to find the practical applications of these courses that you are taking. I'm saying this because it will help you better visualize the course, and it's going to make the course much more interesting. In my experience, and I think in the experience of most people, when courses are too theoretical, it becomes boring in the mind of an engineer. Honestly, so you need a way to make it a bit more interesting for you, so that you can study it, because some of these courses you're going to have to study for hours and hours and hours at a time. So this point is just to make your studying experience a bit easier. When I was studying these courses, I didn't know how these courses were going to contribute to my life as an engineer. I didn't know the application of all these courses. And for most people, it's difficult for them to learn if they don't know why they are learning what they are learning. It's true, we need the theoretical courses, but unfortunately, sometimes there's such a big disconnect between the theoretical courses and practical applications. So in case your lecturer or instructor doesn't make that connection for you, you need to, just do a bit of background study or background research to know why this course that I'm studying is even relevant to engineering or even relevant to this field. It's going to help to put you in the right frame of mind, and I'm going to tell you that being in the right frame of mind is half of the work in engineering school. You need to be psychologically prepared, which is why I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to direct you to the next video. It's going to be in the cards above, and in this video I'm going to address the mindset that you need to not only survive but to thrive in engineering school. And I'm also going to be sharing more of my experiences in engineering school, my failures, my successes. So if you're looking to study engineering, I hope this gave you an idea of what to expect. Basically, this is just how I would advise my younger self to approach my studies if I was to take this whole engineering school thing over again. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next video. I wish you all the best in your journey.